This right here gonna be a cakewalk.
So this is titled Imagine If You Missed a Dash and an AI Got Your Back. Tekken game director Harada shares his thoughts on potential future role of AI in fighting games. Now, this was in 2020. They were working on Tekken 8 at the time, or at least preparing to. And this is Harada already talking about wanting AI to correct inputs. Now, we know that AI is implemented in this game in one way because you have the Super Ghost AI, which reads your inputs and replays your match that way. You also have the My Replays features, which is heavily in tune with AI as well. Who's to say that this part of AI isn't in the game either? They haven't confirmed or denied it, but here's a 2 minute and 6 second video of Harada talking about wanting to do this. And we know they have patents for this stuff and they spent a lot of money doing this stuff. So why would it not be in the game? It's probably in the game. If I'm to describe that the direction that I think gaming will progress in, the key word is AI. There are two different directions that this AI could move in. One direction is what could perhaps describe as user input aid. That's what I was talking about, user input aid. Players who are playing their absolute hardest control their character by coming up with techniques and strategies to execute, sending these messages out to their fingers, talking about how the brain works. I don't know why his bro's doing that, but maybe, whatever, right? While simultaneously watching their opponent's movements and responding to it. This is the interesting part about fighting games. Thinking that AI aiding this process a little. So he's saying that, players' brains figure out what's happening on the screen and sends the response to the fingers, and that's how we play, which is true. And he's saying he wants AI to aid in that process to help players. Could make it possible for us to increase our player range. So bring in new players. That's another way of saying bringing in new players and young players and all that stuff, right? What I want to highlight here is how what they've been saying has been consistent. Like I said, this video is from like 2 years ago, from 4 years ago, 5 years ago almost, right? 2022 or 2020, Harada said this, and it's the same thing he says today. So their messaging has been clear for 5 years. And when I say, why are people getting so upset now? This is why. Because when this video dropped, there was some people who was upset, but not enough to prevent the calamity, right? Everyone just kind of moved on, and you got to keep the pressure. And maybe that's what people are doing now. Maybe people are realizing the error and they're trying to correct it. Who knows? Let's keep going. Input commands that are simply too difficult to execute would cease to exist. I had to take a little break on that one. How y'all like that? How y'all like that? How do y'all like that? I read that and I had to take a little pause. Input commands that are simply too difficult to execute will cease to exist. Now, I've always said that some inputs are unnecessarily difficult. I've always said that. Like, some things in Tekken is just difficult for simply the sake of being difficult, and there's no reason whatsoever for it. And I think some of those things should be corrected. But also, if you talk about how this game was designed to be played on an arcade stick, but now it's more majorly played on PlayStation controllers, I do think there's also some things that could be changed to fit the PlayStation controller. But when you talk about changing things because it's too hard or because you want it to be simple, and I don't know how I feel about that. But also, let me not be a hypocrite. Yoshimitsu has forward, down, forward 2, forward, down, forward 1. I do both of those inputs all the time, but they also have a easier version of it where it's down, forward, 1, 3, and down, forward, 2, 4, I believe the input is. So it's easier versions, and I also do those all the time. So I can't sit here and be like, simplicity sucks when I be cooking with those simple inputs. That's the weird part about it, is that every character in this game basically has simple inputs. It's true. And we hate those simple inputs, but we love to use the moves that we do. So it's like, I don't know. I don't know how to feel about that. It's like if you hate vegetables, your wife, your mom, whatever buys vegetables, and you hate vegetables, but you put the vegetables in all of your soups and all of your dishes and all of your entrees. You got some vegetables on the side of your as a it's like like, I don't know. Let's keep going. For many new players, the difficulty in starting to play fighting is how you may be unable to execute a move that you wanted to. So you want to do a move and you can't do the move or even remember it. That's the thing. Remembering too. Remembering. You can't remember. It's one thing like practicing something in practice mode or practicing something while you're looking for a match. But then when you get into that real match, like even times when I'm playing like Clive or something, you guys tell me an input. Oh, his power crush. And I'm like, oh, what's the input? And then like 3 minutes later, I'm asking for the input again. That's me with a YouTube chat. Imagine people with no YouTube chat and they have to play the whole match or set and then try to figure out the move again, right? So that's what their Harada's talking about. And like I said, I do get why they do some things and they makes like I can't knock them 100%. I do get why they're doing the things that they're doing, but I think still there is still a line that has been crossed. And when you simplify the game so much, there's nothing to work for. Marvel's Rivals is a game that I've been playing a lot. I played that one girl with the sword. She could like teleport through portals. It takes a little bit of difficulty to understand when you should go in, when you should back out. When you're too far in, you die, right? And it's like it's cool though, because I know that what I'm doing has risk involved. I know that I'm taking chances. I know that when I do go in and I clap cheeks, it's like, holy smokes, like this is what I work towards. Or I figured it out, right? Let me come from this angle again. Let me wait for this again, right? So it's like when they simplify the game to this degree, it removes all of that learning from it. All of that learning and all of that like experience. That's really what I think it is. You simplify the game so much to where experience doesn't matter. You don't need to learn from, like, I'll use Marvel's Rivals again, right? Let's say you attack from the left side. The angle's bad, there's walls in your way, there's no escape, and you die. You're like, okay, I'm going to the right side this time. And then the right side is much better. You stop the enemy team and you end up winning. You learn from your mistakes. And Tekken has that as well, where like, you know, you do moves that don't work, you get punished, you do a different move. But I don't know. Let's keep going.
Yeah. Oh, I took
they
your
killed me.
by the way. I don't know if you've seen.
Adding to this, the lack of ability to correctly render your thoughts through your hands on screen actions. So he's basically saying that you guys got trash fingers. Your brain is seeing things, but your fingers can't produce it. Your hands is trash is what Harada says. We all knew this though. Your hands is trash, old man. Can also be extremely stressful for players. I can't remember what it was. It was a commercial. It was a commercial about self-driving cars, or like cars that can like change lanes by itself. And they were talking about, you know, they were like, oh, you should buy this car because it changed lanes just by itself in traffic and it's less stressful. And I remember I was watching that and I was like, that's where humanity is at, huh? Any type of stress that humans face is considered a problem. Stress is too much stress is bad. But you do want to have a certain amount of stress because that's what shows that you're alive, you know? That's what it means to be human. Like, you have car commercials removing the stress of driving completely. You have video games removing the stress completely. Like, where is humanity going? What does this look like when all the stress of the world is removed by AI and self-driving systems? What happens when stress is removed from the equation? Think about it like this. If you have like a little kid who grows up in this world where you know, self-driving this, you know, video games autopilot that, what happens when that kid grows up and finally gets into a stressful situation? The economy this or whatever, the house market crash or something. What will the rate of crashing out be? Because when you're unfamiliar with pain and stress, when you experience it, you don't know how to deal with it. Just like you don't know how to deal with the mix-up, you know? And I think that humanity going in this direction, I don't know how it pans out, you know? And I know we got very off topic. Well, not off topic from games, because games are doing this for the same reason car companies are doing this. But it's just like, where does this go? You're trying to take the stress out of a competitive game, but isn't that what makes a competitive game competitive? It's the stress, the blood pumping, adrenaline. It would watch the individual's habits of a player, such as their input tendencies, and it would consistently be observing and analyzing the situation in real time. Watching the commands. This specific player tends to input in certain situations. After doing it for a period of time, it would develop perceptive abilities. For example, even if the AI itself isn't independently conducting moves, it could use previous saved data for its observations of the player, or from its observation of the players, and conduct inputs that matches that of the player. If, for example, a player wasn't able to enter a command that they usually would, the AI could step in to input the necessary command, tapping the thumbstick second time for a missed dash, etc. So that's what we were talking about, right? How this whole thing started with the Jack doing low parries when he's not low parrying. They spent a lot of money on this. It's probably in the game. What's the comments responding to this? If an AI is just gonna do the input for me, how am I even playing the game at this point? Literally nobody asked for this. Better net code and movement, please. Literally nobody wants this. This is not going to go over well. Difficulty is definitely not what someone getting into fighting game cares about. Erasing execution and eradicating just makes them bland. What a casual cares about is a game looking great, a good amount of modes, features, support, and just cool stuff to do and see. So macros. Oh, that's pretty interesting. If you compare it to like cheats, you ban someone for cheating, which basically gives like one button electrics and this and that. But then you add an AI in to help you when you misinput electric. But also to compare it to Marvel's Rivals again, Marvel Rivals has Scarlet Witch and also I think I can remember the character name, but it's like Phantom and Clone or something like that. But those characters basically have an aimbot. All you have to do is hold the shoot button and look in the general direction of the enemy, and it just locks onto him and it kills him. This sounds amazing, said one person. One person, one green rank who is now in Fusion in Tekken 8 said, this sounds amazing.